This is the moment she stopped. She is sitting in her car, in the hospital parking lot. Her work clothes are still on. Her bag is on the seat next to her. But she can't move. The doctor said 2 words: chronic stress. She didn't believe him. And then she cried. She didn't know why. She is not one person. She is many people at the same time. And you might know someone like her. The one who always picks up the phone, who never needs to be asked twice, who handles things quietly and completely, and then moves on to the next one. Or maybe you are that person. She was wearing her work clothes. She just couldn't move. 2 things happened at the same time in that parking lot, and they didn't fit together. She didn't believe the doctor. That was one thing. And then she cried. That was the other. Her head said, "This makes no sense. I handle things. I'm fine." Her body said nothing. Her body just kept crying. These 2 things, the same moment, the same car, the same body, and that gap between what the head says and what the body does, that's exactly where we begin, not to explain it away, not to make it make sense before it's ready, just to sit with it. What if she wasn't wrong to cry? What if the doctor wasn't wrong either? What if both things were true at the same time, and neither one was a mistake? That's not a small question, but it's the right one. She still hasn't moved. She knows she has a meeting at 2. She knows that. She also knows she needs to call her mother back, that there are 3 unread messages on her phone, that the parking lot charges by the hour. She knows all of these things, and she cannot move. This is what not knowing why you're crying actually feels like. Not loud, not falling apart, just sitting in a car, now sitting in a room, in work clothes, knowing exactly what the next 3 hours require, and not being able to start them. She knows exactly what she needs to do next. The list is clear in her head. The path is clear. She just cannot make her body start moving. Her head has opinions about this. This is a waste of time. The doctor probably just doesn't know what he's looking at. I handle things. I always handle things. That voice has kept her going for years. It knew what to do when nothing else did. It still does.
We have a meeting at 2. We are fine.
Her body says nothing back. Her body just keeps crying. There's a question sitting in that car with her. Not an easy one. What if she's not wrong to cry? And what if the doctor's not wrong either? What if both of those things are true at the same time, and neither one is a mistake? You might know someone like this, the one who never needs to be reminded, who shows up early, who holds it together when everyone else isn't sure they can. Or maybe you are that person. And if you are, here's something worth sitting with. Being able to hold it together is not the same as being okay, and the body knows the difference, even when you don't.
There's something the doctor didn't say, something the test couldn't show. The body already knew, and it had been trying to say it for months.
She has headaches. She has had them for 2 years. She also has nausea on Monday mornings and something that feels like a stone sitting behind her ribs most afternoons. Bloating that comes without warning. Exhaustion so ordinary she stopped noticing it. She assumed these were separate things, unrelated, just the cost of being someone who gets things done. Here's what the doctor didn't say. These aren't separate things. These are the body speaking, and the body has been speaking for a long time.
The gut alone has 500 million neurons, more than the spinal cord. Which means the nausea isn't noise, the bloating isn't random. The gut speaks in sensation, because sensation is the only language it has. When stress arrives, it knows before the head does. Her body wasn't reacting to stress, it was processing it.
There's a system in the body built for exactly this, the body's alarm system, the one that fires when something says, "Stay ready." Short term, it's precise, it sharpens the senses, moves energy to where it's needed. But this alarm had been on for months, and an alarm that's always on. Eventually, the system doesn't know how to stop. The headaches, the nausea, the stone behind her ribs. Not breakdown, not weakness, the cost of something working very hard for a very long time, without rest.
Almost everyone who reaches this point, the exhaustion, the nausea, the headaches, almost all of them. The body keeps a running account. Every time the alarm fired and couldn't fully rest, something was added to that account. Quietly, invisibly, the way water fills a bowl no one notices until it overflows. The parking lot moment wasn't the beginning. It was when the account came due.
The body doesn't send the bill when you're ready. It sends it when the account is full. And the vagus nerve, the long thread running between gut and brain, carries information upward 80% of the time, body to brain, not brain to body. Her gut was not just digesting food. It was filing reports, nausea, bloating, that particular heaviness after certain meetings, each one a report.
Each one a message sent upward toward a mind that didn't know how to read it. Her body was not failing. Her body was reporting. The problem is that no one taught her to read the report.
500 million neurons in the gut, more than the spinal cord. Which means, in a very real sense, she had been thinking with her stomach this whole time. And somehow, it was right.
I've been trying.
Your body doesn't lie. It just speaks a language you were never taught. The nervous system doesn't wait for permission to respond. It responds first. Beneath every decision, beneath every morning she pushed through, something was already scanning, without stopping, quietly, reading signals the mind never noticed. Not a flaw, a feature.
She didn't know the body was saying something, because no one had told her it could speak. Which raises a question. If the body speaks this clearly, these headaches, this exhaustion, this nausea that arrives on Monday mornings, if it has been speaking for this long, why didn't she hear it?
Not because she wasn't paying attention, but because somewhere along the way, she learned that the body's language doesn't count, that what matters is what the mind decides. And that's not a personal failure. That's a lesson someone taught her.
She is the person everyone relies on, not because she performs reliability, because she genuinely is.
When something falls apart at work, she is the one who knows what to do next. When someone doesn't show up, she absorbs the gap. When there is a problem no one knows how to hold, she holds it. She handles things. She always has.
And here's what no one says about that. The same system that made her so good at handling things is the same system that made it impossible to hear the alarm. She was the person everyone relied on. She was the last person anyone worried about.
If you're watching this and someone just came to mind, maybe you already know who. The person who always answers, who always shows up, who you never have to worry about. This might be the first time anyone has.
There's something that happens quietly over years in people who are very good at managing. A gap develops, not between them and other people, between what the body is feeling and what the mind is able to name. The body says, "I'm overwhelmed." The mind hears, "I'm tired. I'll sleep more this weekend." The body says, "I'm not okay." The mind says, "I just need to get through this week."
It's not that she doesn't feel things. It's that she was never taught to read what she feels. Research suggests that between 12 and 36% of people have this gap between what they feel and what they can name. That's potentially 1 in 3 people watching this right now.
And for the ones who've spent years managing, years being the person who holds it together, the gap tends to run deeper, not because they feel less, because the system they built to stay functional didn't leave much room for noticing. When we have not learned how to say no, the body may end up saying it for us.
She didn't believe the doctor. That was the head saying, "This is ridiculous." The crying was the body saying, "No, I've been saying this for a long time." She didn't know why she cried. The body did.
If I'm useful, I'm safe.
That's not a flaw. That's a solution. A very old solution, built by someone much younger than the woman in the parking lot, built at a time when it made complete sense. Somewhere she learned the way to be safe is to be needed. The way to be loved is to be useful. The way to keep things together is to not fall apart.
The armor didn't appear out of nowhere. She built it carefully, because at some point she had to. Clinicians working with stress and long-term exhaustion have noticed something that seems obvious once you see it. The body doesn't erase what the mind moves past. It holds it.
Every meeting she pushed through when she was already empty. Every time she said, "I'm fine," and wasn't. Every time she ran the alarm and told herself it was nothing. The body kept the account. She thought she was moving past things. The body was keeping track. And eventually, there's nowhere else to put it.
The headache is not just a headache. The nausea is not just nausea. The stone behind her ribs, the one she's been carrying since before she had a name for it, is everything she has not had time to feel. Her body had been saying it for months. She just didn't speak that language yet.
We have a meeting at 2. We are fine.
She hears it differently now. Not impatience, not denial, protection. She wasn't suppressing, she was protecting. There is a difference.
There's something worth looking at. Not her, not yet. The world she was working inside. There's a term, emotional labor. It was first described by a sociologist watching flight attendants work. She noticed something. Managing your feelings is not just a private act. For certain jobs, in certain roles, it's a skill you are paid for. Staying calm when something goes wrong, absorbing other people's anxiety without showing your own, appearing steady, capable, fine. Every time she held things together when others couldn't, the system noticed. It promoted it, it rewarded it, it asked for more. She didn't become unavailable to herself out of weakness. The system gave her explicit incentives.
Research into how women in senior roles spend their time found something that shouldn't be surprising, but is every time someone sees it. Women in leadership are 60% more likely to carry the emotional weight of the people around them while still delivering the same performance. 1 in 3 women carries a second shift of invisible labor at home, the managing, the coordinating, the remembering, the work that doesn't appear on any job description. For mothers with young children, that number rises to 6 in 10.
The strong woman is not just a personality type. It's a structural role with a structural cost. The story she told herself, "I'm strong, I can handle this," was also the story that kept her from seeing what she was carrying. The narrative that made her feel proud of not breaking, the same narrative made it impossible to admit she was breaking.
Now, here's a number that stops most people. Roughly 45% of all doctor visits involve symptoms with no clear physical cause. No diagnosis that explains the headache. No test result that accounts for the nausea. Her symptom cluster, exhaustion, headaches, stomach, is the most common presentation in working-age women experiencing stress-related burnout. She is not exceptional. She is statistically ordinary, and almost no one talks about it.
She wasn't broken. She was optimized. The system extracted maximum performance from her precisely because she had learned to stop listening to herself. The burnout, the parking lot, the crying she didn't understand, those weren't failures. They were the bill arriving for a loan she didn't know she'd taken out. And the culture around her made it harder to hear. When "I'm exhausted" is met with "we all are," the signal doesn't get quieter. The signal stays exactly the same. Everything around it just gets louder.
Somewhere around 1641, a French philosopher drew a line. Mind here, body there. Keep them separate. Medicine, for the most part, has been running on that idea ever since. The doctor who saw her that day treated her body. He was doing his job. But the system that trained him treats the body as a machine that generates reports. And the system she works in treats feelings as interference. She was living in the gap between those two systems.
A neuroscientist spent decades studying people who could think perfectly but couldn't feel. Not numbness, not depression, just disconnected from what the body was sending. The signals were there, they just weren't landing. He called what they were missing the body's way of saying, "This matters, pay attention here, this one is real." Without that, all the intelligence in the world can't tell you what actually matters. You didn't miss the signs. You were taught not to see them as signs. Think about the last time you said, "I'm fine," and weren't. What were you protecting? But here's what the science missed, and what something much older already knew.
Long before there were doctors, long before there were diagnoses, long before someone decided the mind and the body lived in separate rooms, people already knew. In one of the oldest traditions of understanding the self, the physical body is not the least important layer of who we are. It is the densest, the most material, the last to receive a message from the inner world, and because of that, the first to carry its weight.
When the deeper layers are overwhelmed, the mind, the emotions, the identity, the body picks up the burden. It was always meant to. The body isn't the last resort. It's the outermost layer, the one that carries what everything else couldn't. There was a philosopher who spent his life arguing that we don't have a body, we are a body.
Before any thought, before any word, the body already knows. What we call thinking comes after. What she felt in the parking lot before she had a single word for it, that was knowledge. The body had already understood something the mind hadn't caught up to yet. And there's another tradition, one that never called suffering a mistake. It called it a signal.
Not something is wrong with you. Something closer to something is asking to be seen. The day the body spoke loudly enough to stop her, maybe that wasn't the moment she broke. Maybe that was the moment she got the message. Here's a question worth sitting with. What is your body saying right now that you haven't had time to hear?
And here's where the threads arrive together. Not one question, not two, three, and they were always one. The body running a survival response with no clear threat, still alert, still bracing, still waiting for a danger that never announced itself. The armor built long before the office, long before the workplace, long before she knew it was armor, built somewhere early, by someone much younger, in a world that required it.
And the self, shaped by all of that, so completely, so quietly, that she could no longer tell which parts were hers and which parts had learned to perform. 3 questions. 1 moment. A hospital parking lot. Work clothes. Unable to move.
You already heard it. You just needed it to be loud enough.
The system didn't break you. It finally got loud enough for you to hear. What would it mean if your body was right all along?
She's home now. Afternoon light through the window. Not the parking lot. Not the hospital. Home. And the light is the same warm amber. But it lands differently here. Softer. More open. The window is just a window. The chair is just a chair. Nothing is waiting to be dealt with. Nothing is asking her to be ready. She's just sitting. Not scrolling. Not planning. Not making the next list. Just sitting with what the doctor said. Chronic stress. 2 words she has been carrying for days without quite setting them down. For the first time, she's not moving past it.
The headaches are probably still there. The work is still waiting.
The list of things that need to be done is still just as long. None of that is resolved. The world didn't change when she sat down. She knows that. But something shifted. Not outside, not in what was waiting for her, in her relationship to what she was feeling.
For weeks she had been carrying it without really touching it, moving alongside it, but never toward it. Now something was different. She had touched it. She heard it. Not understood, not fixed, just heard it once without turning to the next thing. And she stayed with it, even for a moment. That is not nothing.
You are here.
The day your body spoke and you finally heard it. Maybe that was the first time you asked a real question. All this time, whose voice have you been listening to? And if it wasn't yours, where have you been?